Hey everybody, John. Welcome back to my channel. I am here to cover the progress of full self-driving technology from Tesla. I have a Hardware 3 Model 3, and like the vast majority of people, I'm still waiting for an update to get on to 12.5 or later. Now, we can't really complain because the people in Europe haven't been able to access or use full self-driving. They can turn it on, but it doesn't do what it does here in the United States and North America, Canada, to turn right at intersections and unprotected lefts. Even when it changes lanes, it requires the driver to acknowledge that it's changing lanes. There's a lot that we should be very, very thankful for, but on the other hand, we also were promised a lot of things and they simply aren't here. Elon mentioned in August we'd be getting quite a few updates. We'll be able to have our cars move in reverse. That's coming up soon. We don't have too many days left in August. And then also we'll have actually Smart Summon, which is going to be really, really nice. And then everybody's gonna have this hands-free driving, and the car is a lot smoother. So I'm gonna be talking about the current state of self-driving and then compare that to the future state of self-driving and where I think things are going. The reason I haven't been posting very much is because my drives are almost perfect every single time I drive. So it doesn't make for a very interesting YouTube video, to be honest with you. But as soon as I get this update, I'm going to be taking it into the city of Chicago to show how it operates. I will also be going live on X. You can follow me at JohnBBC, J-O-N-B-B-C, to film how the car drives on a Hardware 3 vehicle. I did get a chance to test it on a friend's Model Y, and it did prove itself to be very, very smooth. You can see the video where I compared that to 12.3.6 up above. I also had an opportunity to compare 12.4.3 to 12.5.1, which you can see that also up above. I've got the doors propped open. It is pretty hot out here. The kids just started school. This is my setup. You can see with the GoPro hanging up on top of the car there. And then I have in the front my other camera. I'll show you that setup. All my gear here. This is what I use to film. And then in the front here, I'm trying something new here with a camera on my GoPro mounted up here. I have everything filming. And then in the middle here is where I keep my little tablet to film the HDMI output. And in the back, I have the H86 accessory. This is a really nice screen from Hansshow Auto. Highly recommend that screen as a modification to your older Tesla. And that works for Model 3s and Model Ys. And then in the back, I often will have a camera mounted up there as well. Today I do not, so let's go ahead and hop in and start this ride. Okay, so as we head out here, I'm just gonna tell you what I think about the current state and the future state of full self-driving. I think one of the keys to editing, if you're interested in getting into doing these videos, because it is going to get extremely exciting, guys. The future state of self-driving is going to get extremely exciting. If you're interested in getting a setup going like this yourself, I always recommend that you practice talking in front of the camera. It took me a long time to get away from saying, I stuttered a lot between sentences. So you really have to become more or less a public speaker, and that takes practice. I will say that definitely takes some practice. We are ready to go. This is a one-way going to the right here. Without further ado, let's go ahead and turn it on. We're gonna just single tap down and it's gonna take off from here. Okay, so as you can see, it's starting to drive. It hesitated there a little bit getting out of here. But again, today's drive is not gonna be boring you to death with the details of this very simple drive, because we really have just two right turns and then a straightaway all the way to this grocery store, which I have to stop by real quick before the weekend starts. I've got a busy weekend ahead. There it goes out. I love that. See, I'm not even paying attention and the car just takes off. That's one brilliant thing about self-driving, is you don't really need to think. So you can see that the drive here, this is an area that I go through quite often. And again, the suburbs here compared to downtown Chicago are pretty simple. So it's not like a ton of complicated decisions and maneuvers that you need to make with traffic around you. But I wanted to, rather than go on and on about the minute details of this particular drive, I really wanted to talk about kind of the current state of self-driving and then where things are going in the future, or where I think things are going in the future. As we know, there was supposed to be a robotaxi event coming up on August 8th, and that has been delayed. That's going to be taking place in October now, on October 10th. And I think Tesla has a lot in store for us on that day. But today's current state with self-driving It really we have two situations. We have a situation where we have a lot of vehicles. I'd say probably, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this statistic, you have 75% or more vehicles on the road that have hardware 3. There's a much smaller percentage that have hardware 2.5, and then even prior to that, there was the Israeli company, I think it was called Mobileye, and there's not too many of those cars on the road. But certainly with the hardware 2.5, which was the NVIDIA chip, before Tesla came out with their version, which is hardware 3, there are those vehicles as well. But by and large, I don't think that self-driving is going to be possible. In other words, robotaxi level and hands-free level 5 or even level 4. I don't think that's going to be possible with hardware 2.5. So I hope Tesla is able to look at that user base in the future and say, hey, you know what? We said we'd be able to do this, and we can't, so here's what we're going to do. I hope that they can come up with a game plan. Okay, green arrow, someone right behind me. Hopefully the car knows what to do. Come on, this is a moment where I'm going to have to intervene to step on it. So green arrow, the car did not see that. I'm going to report that, and I did get honked at. I was hoping it would finally see it, but it didn't. So a little interruption there with the light turning red and then immediately to a green arrow. That is a crazy intersection, I will say. So hardware 2.5, unfortunately, probably going to be left in the dust a little bit. Hardware 3, like myself, I think we're going to get something that's really viable. I think we're going to be able to use our cars on the robotaxi network. And I think the main sacrifice that we're going to have is safety and smoothness. I really think it comes down to those two things. So from a smoothness standpoint, it really has to do with accommodating all of those extra parameters. Now, the parameters that get added in are improving the capability of interacting with these neural nets. And there's the inference computer on these cars that has limited storage space and limited memory. There's more RAM in the hardware 4. And because of the increased size and capability of that hardware chip, from the CPU standpoint, it's a larger footprint. And I think from possibly from a heating standpoint, there's many different things that didn't allow Tesla to basically do a swap out. So previously, if you had hardware 2.5, which I had on my car when I first got it in March 2019, you could do a swap out to hardware 3. And now you cannot do a swap out to hardware 4. So I had the question, will you be able to swap hardware 3 with hardware 5, which they're calling AI 5? And I think the answer is no there. I think it's safe to say that that's not going to be possible. It might be possible to go from hardware 4 to hardware 5. But anyway, I digress. Hardware 3 is a majority of the cars on the roads right now. And then we have hardware 4. So the current state today is that we have a mix of hardwares, and then we have a mix of sensor suites. So the newer cars with hardware 4 have more megapixels for the cameras. They're more powerful. You could get a lot more high definition video. So these things make them better in a lot of ways, but whether or not it's needed, that's up for debate. And with hardware 4, the biggest advantage is obviously the inference computer. But Elon mentioned at the X Takeover event last month that the inference computer, due to limitations there, and I think he said it was 10 to 15% of the capability of the training computers that they have for the neural nets and for all the AI for training for training the data sets. It's 10 to 15% of the power. So they're going to be focusing a lot more on the training side. And that, to me, is really interesting.
And because the inference computer in the car is much weaker than, say, a GPU in a server center, it's only got like maybe 15 to 20% as much power. So in order to make, if your inference computer is relatively weak, then you have to spend actually more effort on the training side in order to make up for the weak inference computer.
So the video feedback is going to be really critical for Tesla to make this work. And already I'm seeing incredible progress as far as smoothness and decision making. There have been a number of times where it has gotten over early to go around an obstacle in the road. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. There are times where it does get stuck behind other cars, but more times than not, it impresses me. I posted this online. It's that 1% that ruins the 99%. And that's all it takes, by the way. It takes one screw up where you just suddenly, it's like everything's out the door. It's like, oh no. Just as an example, there was a left turn lane, and it was a very short distance where it was one lane where you had to get in to turn left, and then there were like 2 lanes going straight. And the 2 lanes that were going straight, out of those 2 lanes, I was in the left one. And we were coming up to a light, and it was red, and there were cars in both of the lanes, and I was in the left one, like I said, and they were starting to build up. But there was a gap up above. There were you could fit maybe 3 or 4 cars in the left turn lane, and already there were 2 cars in the left turn lane. And the cars were building up in the straight lanes, and my car could go around them to get into the left turn lane. And it did. It went over the double yellow lines. And I was like, yes! I was freaking out because it was doing the right thing. That's what a human driver would do. They'd go over, squeeze over into the lane they really shouldn't be in, because now the other traffic could be coming, and then squeeze right back in and fill that gap. However, what ended up happening was it didn't move back over to squeeze in to that left turn lane. It just kept going. And I was like, no, like it was going to go. If I had let it go, it would have been a disaster. I mean, we would have definitely interrupted traffic. We would have annoyed a lot of people. I'm not going to say we would have gotten in an accident, because I don't know, but it definitely was not the right thing to do. And I had a passenger in my car, and he's like, what the F is it doing? You know, he was taken off guard, and he's like, this is not right. And it started out where I was like, oh my gosh, no way. Like I was freaking out that it was doing something superhuman, and then it just screwed up. So there are times where it makes mistakes, but then there's other times where it just performs so well, and it impresses you beyond any imagination. I mean, it's those moments that I like to hold on to, but unfortunately, it's those screw ups that it's like, because you can't trust it, right? That's the thing. You have to be able to trust it in every situation. And we all know the limitations today. So speaking about current state again, we know the limitations, and those limitations are it can't read road signs. It also will not process blocked roads. You know, if it says road closed, for example, it is debatable whether or not it pays attention to school zones. And, other limitations like that, I would say lane selection still is an issue until they merge the stacks again with the highway and the city street. Still merging onto the highways is a little bit unusual, I should say. It just doesn't work perfectly every time. So there are little nuances like that. And then sometimes, just as of recently on 12.4.3, it would miss exits. And, you have to take over to get off at the exit you need to get off on. And the maps data is telling you need to get off here. And it's clear that the path is saying you need to get off at this exit. But then the car just, for some reason, it indicates like it's going to take it. It'll slow down, but then it won't take it. And see, now look at that move right there. Like that, it's those moments. And usually when I'm not filming, by the way, I'm paying a lot more attention to what's going on around me. But it's moments like that right there where we just went around that slower moving traffic to get out of the way. Beautiful. I mean, unbelievably impressive. And witnessing that firsthand, you have to be in the car to really have an appreciation for situations like that. Now that was just one example. It was very minor, but those moments make me really excited. So we know the limitations. We know that it does a great job overall. And there's minor things like you step on the accelerator. And it's debatable, is that an intervention? People, and I've said this 1,000 gazillion times in all my videos, and I think most of the other content creators and people that are documenting full self-driving like myself, I think they're also still counting it this way. An intervention is when you step on the accelerator or you increase the speed manually. A disengagement is when you take over completely and you quite literally what the word is, you disengage. You either jerk the steering wheel or you step on the brake. The other way to disengage is you push up on the right drive stalk and then you're completely out of the self-driving mode. Disengagements are becoming quite rare, but interventions still happen on a fairly regular basis, I would say. So when 12.5 or 12.6 arrives for hardware 3, I'm very curious to see. And now a lot of times this is another thing that is very subjective, depends on your mood. A lot of times people will be okay allowing the car to do things that they wouldn't normally do. So they're like, oh, okay, they're honking at me, so what? I don't care, I'm not going to intervene. But then other people, and I would say it really depends for me. And some people have commented on my videos, man, you push it. You're pretty daring, especially when I'm down in the city. I really try not to intervene. So there are people, it really depends on the person and depends on your mood. So very, very subjective. Okay, we're almost here. We got 2 minutes left. Future state. This is what's most exciting for me. As the data sets grow and we have more and more video data, and I don't have all the stats in front of me, sorry for that. I mean, there's a ton of information out there that you can pull up. Ooh, hesitation here. It doesn't know, it's doing the right thing. It's going straight. It's following the map data. That's a good thing. Let's see if it gets into the correct spot here. Okay, I'm going to let it. I mean, this is fine, but it's not the path I would take. Very few people come in this way. Yes, you can, but it's kind of like an unknown entrance. So basically it's going to go straight to the front door. And this is what it does at these parking lots. It will just go straight to where the pin is, which is right at the front. So what I like to do is, now you can see the parking, the spaces are vertical. They're not horizontal, or I can't park it basically in a parking lot like this, which is really unfortunate. So I'm going to turn it on here again and just see what it does. We got a car in front of us, which they might be wanting to get out. Yeah, I'm just going to take over and park manually. I like when you're in another parking lot where you can just disengage and then have it auto park. That's really nice, because then you really don't touch the accelerator pedal at all for the entire trip. So just to close this out, future state, obviously I'm just some Joe Schmo on YouTube, but I'm going to say with a high degree of confidence that I think Tesla is going to solve this. And why do I say that? Because I've been testing this software since October 24th, 2021. So about 3.5 years now. I take that back, what am I saying? 3.5 years, almost 3 years now. And I'm going to say that, it's the progress I've seen has been quite substantial. It's gotten to a point now where I feel very comfortable using this software all the time. And I have a regular job, and I don't, it's a sales job, so they gave me a vehicle, and it's a gas vehicle. So I'm one of the rare people that has a regular ICE vehicle and an EV. So I'm one foot in one world, another foot in the other world. And it's hard, I think, for people to shift their mindset to say, okay, because when you're driving manually, for me, I mean, it's second nature. I grew up driving manually. In fact, I started driving on a manual stick shift car. So I'm used to driving. So it's not that challenging, but I just know there's one day where I'm going to be really tired or not paying attention, and I'm just going to think the car is doing something. My brain will just have a brain fart, and it will think that the car is going to manage it for me. That's what's scary, is you have the blending of these worlds now. But you look around, I mean, I'm just looking right now, and I don't see a single Tesla driving around. And then even if I did, you know, are they using self-driving? It's highly unlikely. So this is very rare, you know, for people even in North America. And I know people in Europe have been waiting for so long to get self-driving, and I'm really hoping that you guys can get it soon. But anyway, I have a really bad habit of going all over the place here. Future state. I think we're going to have a situation where there's going to be fast adoption. Okay, my point in saying all of this is that there's not very many people that have this and are using this, and it's challenging in this transition. But in the future, everybody's going to have this, because what's going to happen is Tesla is going to find out a way to deploy this in other vehicles, kind of like what Comma AI is doing. And if you're not familiar with Comma AI, it's a device that you can plug into any car, any gas car, and it gives it eyes, it gives it that vision capability. And then it automates the control through the steering wheel. But essentially it's vision in, control out. And this is the right approach, because otherwise it's too expensive and it's too difficult. So I think with time, with all the video data, now people have asked when is this going to happen? Let me get out my crystal ball. I'm not going to be like Elon Musk and just throw out a date and say this is when it's going to be solved. He knows more than I do, and he's been wrong so many times. So why would I even try? It wouldn't do anybody any good. But in the future, I really see a situation where it becomes so good and it starts saving a lot of lives. Now, on that topic, the mainstream media is going to talk about the situations where it performs the wrong way and gets in an accident and causes collisions, and how it's not safe, and it does the wrong thing in school zones, and it can't read signs, and it can't. Of course, it's human nature to gravitate toward the bad points. And this is good. I mean, it's actually a good thing, because it helps us improve. And this is how, from a survival standpoint, how humans have evolved. You know, we've learned, hey, don't touch poison ivy, because you'll get a rash. So people just know, you know, if they see poison ivy or a skunk, you know, oh, black and white, that better stay away from that. Little things like that you just learn over time. But once this, because it's so well known in the community, especially in the Tesla community, the limitations, Tesla, I'm sure, is also aware of those limitations. We're providing feedback on a regular basis. All this stuff is going to get fixed. So rather than getting upset or frustrated with all the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, I think we should embrace it. And I've seen members in the Tesla community get criticized and actually ostracized for saying bad things or pointing out the issues. And I get it. Like if you're always a glass is half empty type of person, you're complaining all the time, nobody wants to be around those people. And it's not fun to read that again and again and again. We have to give this technology a lot of credit for what it is today. But in the future, like I said, it's going to get a lot better. And I'm really excited for that day. And I think it's going to be here sooner than we think. And then what's going to end up happening is everybody's going to be able to use this. Everybody's going to be sending it to pick up their kids. They're going to be sending it to go pick up groceries. They're going to be leasing it out so other people can use it, especially if it's an older car. Hey, why not make money on the side? Uber's nice to make money on the side, but you have to be there with the car the whole time. If you could have the car go do all that and you make money on the side while you're sleeping, for example, why not? I mean, your car's not going to be used anyway. It's sitting in the garage. All these things, I think, are really positive things for Tesla, and I'm really looking forward to 1010, and I think a lot of people are as well. So I'm rambling quite a bit here, but I hope this was insightful for some of you, and I hope this this comes to fruition here, and I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to get the latest version in my car. Stay tuned. I will be going downtown Chicago. In fact, I'll be live streaming. I got some extra equipment to enhance that live stream experience so that when it arrives, I can go out straight away and you guys can see on X that live stream. I don't know if the OGs are going to get this hardware 3 update ahead of everybody else. I kind of hope that's not the case because everybody's been waiting for so long. This is the most anticipated FSD rollout in its history. Tesla is super secretive about what they're working on, but I can guarantee you they're working on incorporating Grok with FSD so it can read signs and process language better. And that day will be really exciting. I mean, there's so many signs on the road. So really excited for the future, and I hope to be right there with all of you documenting it here firsthand. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.